What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and of course on Roku via our friends over at the National Streaming Sports. National Streaming Sports, they got a whole bunch of content, everything from the big football show all the way down to boxing, anything you want. They have got you covered over at National Streaming Sports. It is a phenomenal day today. Remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. That's RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33 and save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. I got my dude, Will Heron, who's tuned in right now saying, Tippy, what's going on, dude? Will, what I want you to do, if you can help me out with some of the stuff you're doing, let me know in the comments and however you want to, the stuff that you're doing over there, where you are over in Louisiana. Those that don't know, Will, a former sports and weather guy over here in El Paso, used to work with ABC7, has moved on to greener pastures, has the nice, beautiful, full beard just a-flowing. That's my guy. I got nothing but love for you, my dude. So please, I want to be caught up on all of the amazing things that you are doing over there in the great state of Louisiana. He said he just got credentialed for the Super Bowl. I am proud of you, my guy. I've been trying for the last 3-4 years to try to get a credential to the Super Bowl, and it has just been a swing and a miss for me. Now, again, I've been credentialed for the NFL draft. I've been credentialed for the Mexico City game, for the Jaguars game in London. So I can't complain. I'm just like, damn, man, what more do I have to do? So me knowing how difficult it is to get into the Super Bowl, despite already having a pre-existing relationship with the NFL, I know how amazing that is, my guy. A part of me wants to just drive from El Paso to New Orleans, Super Bowl week, and just hang out with the fans. I should have done it last year. I wanted to do it because I even thought to myself, if there's a place where you can go and not actually be in the game and still have fun, it would be Las Vegas. Now, hell yeah, it's going to be the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Like, that's the places that you want to go, right? Like, so for me, it's creeping in the back of my mind that I should just drive to New Orleans, hang out with the fans, do all the fan stuff that's out there, and just create more and more content so the NFL can look at me and say, look, okay, now we have to start giving this guy more credentials to games. My guy Tommy Cananza saying, good morning, Tip. Look at that. 2 people in the YouTube area. What's going on here? Good morning to y'all as well. Remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. I am working on a new commercial for My Happy Nuts. I want to try, like my goal for this year, I've got like my little vision board and all that stuff. My goal for this year is to increase stuff with My Happy Nuts and, of course, maybe even with Baldo, as Will said. Jonathan Mathis tuning in right now over on Facebook as well, saying, good morning, my friend. Good morning to you as well. Will Heron saying it's a 14-hour drive. I live in Lafayette. It's 2.5 hours away. I'll be driving there almost every day. Also, the media hotel is $360 a night with a minimum 3-night share. We could split that. I am with that, man. Like if we can come up with some idea, I will drive. Will, I don't know if you remember or not, but I got credentialed through the NFL to go cover the NFL draft in 2022-ish, 2023-ish. I was supposed to fly from here to Kansas City, but my flight got canceled the day of, or got pushed back and doing all that other stuff, right? And I had to drive overnight from El Paso to Kansas City, a 16-and-a-half-hour drive from El Paso to Kansas City. I jumped in the Mustang, went the speed limit, and made sure I got there at a good enough time, right? Because my whole thing is I'm going to find any way that I can to get there. Now, obviously, this past season with Detroit, American Airlines, I will never fly American Airlines again. This is 3 years in a row that they've done this to me, where they've had to cancel flights. So last year with the NFL draft in Detroit, got credentialed, had everything planned out on how we were going to go. Got 3 text messages within a 4-hour span saying the one flight was pushed back, then it was pushed back again, and the third time it was pushed back, I was going to miss my flight. Now, on my behalf, I should have maybe done it a day or so earlier so I could have driven up there, but I thought flying's fun. And I all the options people gave me was like, well, you can drive up there. By the time I got up there, the draft would have been over. Someone even said, take a train. And God bless you, Byron Dalrymple. I got nothing but love for you. That's one of my cousins. He said, take a train. And I said, okay, if I drive up there, that's a 26-hour drive. I got nothing wrong with a 26-hour drive. I've driven from El Paso to Alaska, okay? Yes, I made that drive, El Paso to Alaska, and back. Made the drive from El Paso to Connecticut when I lived in Connecticut, right, and back. I'm okay with a long-ass drive. But it was going to be a 52-hour train trip. And I was like, not only would the first round be over, the entire draft would have been over had I jumped on a train. This isn't 1863 anymore. Like trains are no longer the fastest way of traveling from here to there. And I don't know if I would be able to survive in the 1860s with the way that I like to just go, right? You'd have to get on your horse and just buggy on out. And I don't think I would be able to do that at 4 miles an hour or however fast those damn things went. Went on with a little thing. Will saying he's going to text me a little bit later. He has a place to stay in Lafayette. I'm good with that, man. I'm good. Again, I've got to try to figure all this stuff out. My whole thing is I'm just going to go. I know I can't get into the Super Bowl, but if you're Super Bowl adjacent, I think that's fine, right? And it's also nice to drive in a Mustang. It's going to be cold, but, maybe the top down a little bit, keep yourself awake. We'll see what happens, right? It's down in Louisiana, down in the bayou. Does it really even get that cold? Linda McGrath saying, good morning, Mike. Jerry Jones with a big endorsement of Mike McCarthy. And that's where we're going to start today. That's exactly where I wanted to start. Thank you so much, Linda, for that. Linda McGrath, once again, one of the main people over at National Streaming Sports, her and Mac doing a great job of platforming individuals such as myself, much better than myself. Will Heron saying it's cold at the moment, 40s and 50s. Ugh. Again, lived in Alaska. I will never be cold again. Never, ever will I be cold again. Jerry Jones did say that, Mike McCarthy has done enough. And I'm, sitting back and I'm watching ESPN and I get Michael Parsons saying, that's a good coach. That's a good guy. That's my guy. Blah, 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 blah. You're doing all the stuff that you need to do to not alienate someone on the way out. And then on ESPN, on NFL Today, you have Marcus Spears, former Dallas Cowboy, Swagoo, talking about how beloved Mike McCarthy is in the Dallas Cowboys locker room, how respected Mike McCarthy is throughout the coaching ranks of the NFL. And I totally get that. I 100% understand and get where all these people are coming from when it comes to the defense of Mike McCarthy, right? But the simple fact of the matter is yes, you won 36 games in a 3-year span. You still somehow underachieved in that 3-year span because the Cowboys did not get better. The Cowboys did not improve year over year. Like I would have been fine if you had won 11 games, 12 games, 13 games. Instead, it was 12, 12, 12, right? Yes, they got incrementally better from his first season with the Dallas Cowboys where they won 4 games to those 3 seasons, and then the drop-off that we just witnessed with them this year. Tommy Canazzo saying Mike's got to go, period. Endo discussion. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, I understand. I get it. No one, and I'm not in the business of firing people. I don't like doing that thing. Even here at UTEP, I don't know how I got the moniker of being the guy that wanted people to be fired. My whole thing, even with the former coach that we had, Dana DeMille, rest in peace, my dude. I got nothing but love for you, your wonderful family, Julie DeMille. My thoughts and my prayers are with you and the entire DeMille family. Now, I even said whenever UTEP fired him, that they should have given him a little bit more. Give him a little more leeway, a little more runway to be able to do some more. The worst thing that you can do in any sport is have musical coaches. You're playing musical chairs with coaches. That's not going to be a way that your team is going to succeed. But with the Dallas Cowboys, we've seen Jerry Jones hold on to his yes man a little too long. We saw him do that with Jason Garrett, old Howdy Doody. We saw him do that with him. We saw him now holding on maybe to the possibility of Mike McCarthy. And I think Mike McCarthy is a decent enough coach. I truly do. I have no hatred in my heart towards Mike McCarthy, and I understand that injuries play a role in how a season goes. But if you're going to endorse Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, after a failed season where during the offseason prior, you said as the owner, president, and GM of the team, we're going all in, then you haven't done enough to get him what he needs in terms of talent acquisition. I'm not going to go the way that Augustine has gone on the show a few times, where it's been all about, oh, well, you know, the fans need to stop supporting the team or blah, 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 blah. No, that's a tired, old, played out mindset from people that don't grasp what sports really are, right? Sports is a business. And in the business of sports, the Dallas Cowboys brand has been extremely successful. But the Dallas Cowboys franchise, what they put out on the field, has not been. I was wrong yesterday whenever I said that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have $19 million in cap space that they can play around with. They have $6.5 million in available cap space that they can play with. That's not going to be able to get you the free agent acquisitions that you need to be able to have on your team in order to survive. They have to build this team now through the draft, or find trading partners for big name players that you no longer, I can't even say that you no longer want, but you can no longer afford. The Dallas Cowboys payroll going forward is going to be almost 50% of it tied up in three players. Three players. And you're just going to have the carousel of we need to pay, we need to pay, we need to pay. So if you're going to go around and say that you want to keep a guy like Mike McCarthy because he's done enough to keep his job, he's done all these things, Jerry Jones, to keep his job, then you, as the GM, need to build a better team around him. You need to make the difficult decisions, because I don't think anymore that we as a fan base, the Dallas Cowboys supporting group, anyone that's out there that's been scapegoating Mike McCarthy over the last couple of years, if Mike McCarthy is kept as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys following this disaster of a season, then the blame goes solely on Jerry Jones, the GM. Not Jerry Jones, the owner, not Jerry Jones, the president, Jerry Jones, the GM of the franchise. Because you have to build around what you have right now. I get it. I totally get it, right? Like, you had to pay your quarterback. You had to pay CeeDee Lamb. But the difference between what the Dallas Cowboys did and what all the other franchises out there do is you pay one or the other. It's so hard to be able to pay both. And I know that the long run, we're looking in the future, right? Like, this is always a long play into the future whenever it comes to sports and media and all these things that the Dallas Cowboys and every NFL team looks forward to. I get and I totally understand that the TV contracts are up after 2026, which means the money is going to come pouring in from national advertisers and national broadcasters out there like Netflix and all these other people. They're just going to start pouring money into the NFL in order to have the rights to broadcast their games. Therefore, the salary cap goes up exponentially. As TV rights go up, salary cap goes up. But if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you're an octogenarian Jerry Jones, are you going to hold on until 2026 and after 2026 to worry about your increase in available payroll? And if that's the case, just come out and say it to the fans. Just come out there and say, look, we're punting on the next 2 seasons. If we go 7-10 again, we're good with it. If we go 12-5 by some miracle, we're good with it. But this is the expectation. We are not playing to win a Super Bowl. We are playing to get to 2027 and have an increase in salary cap so that way we can start building a better franchise. Or find a trading partner for either Dak or CD, because as of right now, you cannot keep both and build a team. You have $6.5 million in available cap space. You're going to have 22 free agents on the book, which means you're going to have 22 available roster spots before the NFL draft. And even if you kept every single one of your draft picks, you'd still have 16 available roster spots and negative cap space. What the Dallas Cowboys have done in the past is restructure deal, right? We're going to defer what we have to pay now until later. And all of that starts adding up and becomes insurmountable at one point in time. And the Dallas Cowboys right now are in that insurmountable amount of money that they will not be able to pay anybody. End of discussion. You decided that you were going to pay those 2 free agents in Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb $90 million. This was supposed to be the year that paid out for you, and it didn't. Now you're going to have contracts like Micah Parsons coming up. You have to try to find a way to sign a running back, to sign backups to your quarterback, to fix your offensive line, because with the possible retirement of Zach Martin being there with the Dallas Cowboys, that's going to leave a huge hole. You cannot have a Hall of Fame caliber player retire and not have that hurt the team. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy, cool. You got your stamp of approval from Jerry Jones, and everyone thinks everything's going to be hunky-dory, and we should all just be A-okay. The fact of the matter is, Mike McCarthy, to the fans, didn't do enough to keep his job. Mike McCarthy could be beloved in that locker room all you want, but if you keep Mike McCarthy, it is an obvious sign to the fans that the 2025 season is being punted on. There is no hope. There should be no hope for the Dallas Cowboys fans going into 2025 to say this team is going to be a lot better. The main characters on the team that helped grow this team to even be 7-10, because it could have been a lot worse. The main characters on that team will not be with this team. The chances of the Dallas Cowboys being able to keep Eric Kendricks, who led the team in tackles, is de minimis. Tommy Canassa saying they can do it. There's always a way to finesse the cap. The Cowboys just refuse to do it. The Eagles, Rams, and other teams do it all the time. And I agree with that. You can finesse the cap. But that's if you have multiple people you can finesse the cap with. If a few years ago, whenever the Dallas Cowboys got to their top peak, when they got to their best, the way they finessed the cap was they were able to defer payments basically from DeMarcus Lawrence, from Zach Martin, from Dak Prescott, from other members along the offensive line like Tyron Smith. They were asking a ton of people to push back those payments, right? Now, what happens is it winds up staying on your books. It's the same way that it is with baseball, Shohei Ohtani and his contract. Eventually, the Dodgers are going to be paying $68 million a year. To a player that is no longer on their team. That's what's going to be happening with the Dallas Cowboys, right? That's what we talk about with dead cap space. That's what's going to be happening with them. The more you defer, the more you push off payments, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can have all that money back to you. A percentage of the guarantees stays untouchable and is considered dead cap space. So think of the Denver Broncos this year, right? Got rid of Russell Wilson, had to give him $70 million. They had $80 million in dead cap space, money that they could not use, that was still on their books, that didn't allow them to sign free agents. Now, this upcoming season, 2025, that $80 million is going to evaporate and be added back to what their salary cap is going to be able to have, right? So the only way that you can make a legitimate impact in being able to finesse the salary cap the way that the Broncos are going to be doing now is by releasing players, eating that cap for a whole season, and then getting back. This is what I was talking about earlier in the year whenever I said they just need a tank. It needs to be done, right? Do what you've never done, Jerry Jones. Swallow your pride, tank, live to play another day, but also realize that there has to be major changes with people that are making major money on the Dallas Cowboys. The dead cap space for the Dallas Cowboys right now, if they were to release Dak Prescott, would be in the, I want to say it's like $130 million range. It would be an insurmountable amount of money for the Dallas Cowboys to just eat this year. They would have to release someone like CeeDee Lamb, because even if you trade him, you're responsible for a portion of the contract. It's still considered dead cap. So now you have contract and dead cap that you need to try to like maneuver around. It's a really crappy situation that the Dallas Cowboys are in right now. Tommy Collins is saying, yeah, the Eagles are going to owe Jalen Hurts $90-something million in 2029, but guess what they go out and build a championship team with all year? And you want to talk about going about all in. That's going all in. And I agree, right? All of Dak Prescott's contract was like an upfront type of deal, where you look at the Patrick Mahomes contract and it's so team friendly that you're able to maneuver around, bring people in, take people out, et cetera, do what it is that you got to do in order to make sure that Patrick Mahomes has talent around him, or enough talent around him to actually be able to survive what's going on with Kansas City, right? They might not have a ton of talent around them, but they have a great defense. They have all they need. They have the makings of a championship team. The Dallas Cowboys have none of that. The Dallas Cowboys are a franchise that is in peril right now, and they're dealing with a ton of issues. Mike McCarthy's contract expires next week. I don't feel like Jerry Jones is going to renew that contract. Mike McCarthy has interest from teams like the Chicago Bears who want to talk to him just to say, hey, what is your interest in coming over here and coaching a team with Caleb Williams on it? And I know that everyone's talking about how Caleb Williams is a bust and blah, 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 blah. Threw for 3,500 yards, had a decent enough season, right? If you do the comparisons between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, who's a transcendent, quote-unquote, rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels threw for 400 more yards, 4 more touchdowns, and I want to say 5 less interceptions. It's not a huge difference between the way that those two played. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm interested in what Chicago has. I have to do my due diligence here and try to find out how much cap space the Chicago Bears have. And if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm taking this job. The Chicago Bears will have $80.14 million in available cap space going into next season. $80 million, right? Like I'm all with it. My dude, Jonathan Hood, maybe I'll have him come on the show from ESPN 1000. That's my guy. Got nothing but love for him. Maybe we can talk about the potential of having Mike McCarthy as a head coach over there, what that would be like in Chicago. But I'm looking at what we've got right now in Dallas. And it's so hard for me to say, okay, we got to blame Jerry Jones, because I think Jerry Jones has done a good job building the roster with what they've got. But I could imagine what it would be like for Mike McCarthy to take over a young team with a good enough quarterback that has a decent enough run game where all they have to do is address the offensive and defensive lines, and you have $80 million to do it with. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm jumping at that, right? Like if I'm any head coach, I'm jumping at that. That seems to be a desirable position, being a head coach in Chicago with $80 million. You already have a quarterback that you're married to, that's on a rookie team-friendly deal. Now you can go out and get free agent acquisitions. I think going out and getting Keenan Allen this past season wasn't a great idea. You need someone, you need those security blankets, right? Cole Kmet, great security blanket. Whatever free agents are out there that you can just dump into the Chicago Bears and have them be a viable team would be fine. The only downside to being a head coach in Chicago is you've got the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers that you're looking up to right now. All three of those teams were exponentially better than what the Chicago Bears were. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Obviously, the Detroit Lions are going to have some, I can't even say some. I think there's going to be major changes in Detroit, especially along the coaching staff. I don't think that Brian Johnson's going to be the coach on the offensive side anymore. I don't think that Aaron Glenn is going to be their defensive coordinator anymore. Both those guys have shown that they need to be head coaches. Tommy Cananza saying, at least Chicago tried. LOL, we signed nobody off last season. Yes, we did. We signed my good friend. He's my friend in real life and my friend on Facebook as well. Long snapper Trent Sieg. That's a great pickup. He's got his deal expired, but hopefully they re-sign him to another 1 or 2 year deal. My guy gets to continue living in Dallas. Like I think that was a good pickup. You got to have a long snapper. You talk about the lamest name drop of all time right there, where I'm like, my good friend, the long snapper of the Dallas Cowboys. That's almost like if someone was like, my good friend, Michael Tipton. And people would be like, who the hell is that guy? I'm helping produce a podcast, and I'll start sharing the links and stuff out there. It's called Talking About It with Ashley. Ashley is trying to bring awareness for mental health. That's something that's got a lot of it's something that I've got my heart tied into as well. I deal with a lot of mental health issues, PTSD, things like that I've just, either A, grown up with, or B, had to, military time does stuff to you. She's doing a great podcast with that, with mental health. And she goes around, she tells people like, oh yeah, no, I'm like, Michael Tipton's producing this for me. And every single time it's, oh, just the tip. And I'm like, you know what? I still love that nickname, but I'm 40. And I feel like being referred to as just the tip at 40 is like, it's funny. Like I would, anytime someone's like, oh, it's just the tip, I laugh. Like it's a funny thing. But it's also like, if I'm just the tip and I'm like at UTEP at a volleyball game, if you're like, oh, just the tip, that feels weird. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm thinking too much in it. Maybe it means nothing at all. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, man. Like maybe, gotta do the rebrand, Tipton Sports Broadcasting. Let's do that. We're doing Tipton Sports. Just refer to me as Tipton for the remainder of my life. I'm a happy guy. You refer to my kids as just the tip, I'm fine with that. They're young enough to think that that's going to be a funny joke, and they'll last. They got 30 years of thinking that's funny. I'm 40. If I think that's funny in 30 years, I'm still going to think it's funny because I'm a super immature dude. But it's just weird to be like, oh, just the tip. That's who you know me as. Just the tip. Which I'm good with it, man. I'm totally good with it. Just once again, it's kind of weird. That's the only thing with it. Okay, so should Mike McCarthy go to the Chicago Bears? I think all Dallas Cowboys fans are in unison saying yes. Unanimously, yes. Go to the Chicago Bears, Mike McCarthy. C'est la vie. Have a great time. Enjoy the pizza, as Tommy Cananza is saying over there, the deep dish pizza, the Chicago style pizza. Go enjoy that over there. The bratwurst. You can be the head coach of the Bears, right? Like, be gone. That's what we as Dallas Cowboys fans want. Obviously, we have our ideas of who we would like to have as the Dallas Cowboys head coach moving forward. And I don't think it's Gerard Mayo. I think it's Ben Johnson. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I called him Brian Johnson earlier, so I apologize for that, Ben Johnson. I will get your name right. It's Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. That's going to be, to me, the most coveted head coach out there. Where he goes, wow, I just thought of something. I'll come back to that. I'll circle that in a little bit. You can see, like, when the light bulb goes off with me, I'm literally like a small animal where the light bulb goes off, and I'm like, huh? Where Ben Johnson goes is going to be a team that winds up having a lot of hype around him. And you have to look at what he wants to inherit as a head coach. Do you want to inherit a bad team that you have to build from the bottom? And the answer to that's going to be no. You want a team that has an established quarterback. You want a team that has good enough receivers. And you want a team that you can go to and say, okay, let's fix X, Y, Z. Now we can implement A, B, C, and we are going to do what we can do. That's what I'm doing if I'm Ben Johnson. Same thing if I'm Aaron Glenn. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm looking at both of them. I'm good with either Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. I think that the weakness for the Dallas Cowboys the past 2 seasons has been the defense. Maybe you just need a defensive guy in there. Is Mike Zimmer the guy? I don't know if I necessarily believe that Mike Zimmer's the dude to lead this defense, right? Tommy Canazzo saying that he wants B. Johnson. Pause. So what Tommy Canazzo is saying is that he wants to see more Johnson in Dallas. He wants to see more Johnson in the Big D, which I'm fine with, man. If we can get more Johnson in Dallas, I think it'll be the best for the Dallas Cowboys. Ben Johnson being the head coach in Dallas would be phenomenal. I love his offensive scheme. I love the way that he game plans, and I love what he's been able to do in Detroit. They are the epitome, in my opinion at least, the epitome of a well-balanced team. A great running attack with a good passing attack. And not a passing attack that dinks and dunks, but a passing attack that is innovative, a passing attack that utilizes different types of movements and motions and things of that nature. What you need in a team to survive in 2025. I would love Ben Johnson as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. Mike McCarthy, go enjoy Chicago. I'm going to message my guy, Jonathan Hood. I know he's doing a show right now, so we would have to pre-record something to talk about the possibility of Mike McCarthy going to Chicago, what people in Chicago would think about that. So maybe that'll be something that we air tomorrow, or maybe I just do that as an additional aside of the tipping point, right? But I really want to look into what the thought process would be of Mike McCarthy going to the Chicago Bears. The Bears. I know my guy, Brandon the Iceman Cohn, who is both a Cowboys fan and a Bears fan, would be ecstatic to see both of his teams over the last decade have Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Augustine Pimentel questioning, really? What are we reallying at? I've got to try to figure this one out, Augustine. I need context, my guy. I'm not a smart man. And the words of Forrest Gump, I am not a smart man, but I do know what love is. I don't know if that was a good impression or not. Tommy Canazzo saying, Brandon, you can't be both. I've been telling him that for years. We've done Fire and Ice at times where he's wearing like a UTEP shirt, a Dallas Cowboys hoodie, and a Chicago Bears hat. Like it is the most confusing thing that you would see. And to me, it's like, pick a struggle, dude. All of those teams have been pretty pathetic since at least the last 30 years. And maybe he's just doing a thing to get representation of like what it's like to be pathetic across the decades. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since 1996. The Chicago Bears haven't won a Super Bowl since 1985. The UTEP Miners haven't won a bowl game since 1967. 17 years before I was born. Jesus. Whenever you say it like that, it kind of stings a little more, doesn't it? Augustine Pimentel saying, yeah, all those things need talent and a good general manager. Again, I think Jerry Jones, the general manager, has done a well enough job. I mean, 2 years ago, he was the executive of the year, right? Like we tend to gloss over whatever Jerry Jones does a really good job with talent acquisition and roster management. But I will agree, this upcoming season, with the constraints that they're going to have with the salary cap, Jerry Jones is going to have his hands full. And if he keeps Mike McCarthy, then all the blame, in my opinion, shifts from Mike McCarthy and lands squarely on the shoulders of Jerry Jones, the GM. The Bears with Mike McCarthy. Sounds like a marriage made in heaven. What doesn't sound like a marriage made in heaven? The Chargers and the rumors about the Chargers signing Ezekiel Elliott to their practice squad. And good on him. You're ring chasing, my guy. I got you. I totally get it. But it also feels sad, like watching Karl Malone in a LA Lakers jersey 20 years into his career, right? Like, that's how I feel about Zeke Elliott signing with the, did I call them the San Diego Chargers? I more than likely did, because I refuse to acknowledge that they're in LA. I am with Zeke Elliott signing with the Chargers. The Chargers need a little bit of depth. I don't think he'll play this week. I don't think he's going to play at all, to be honest with you. He'll be on the team. If they make a deep run into the playoffs, maybe he gets, a chance here or there. But J.K. Dobbins has done a fantastic job in L.A. with the Chargers as their main running back. I know they've got Gus Edwards as well. I've got a dog barking in the background, so that's going to be interesting. My doorbell camera hasn't gone off, so at least that's good. It's always a weird thing for me, because I'm in this room separated from the rest of my house, and I hear the dog bark, and I got the kids running around. This is the last day that I got the kids before they go to school, and it's always weird whenever I'm in here doing something, I hear the dog bark, and on my Ring camera, like, that's the first thing I look at, right? Like, okay, nothing's going on out there. The dog's just being crazy. Tommy Cananza saying he does enough to stay relevant, but he won't make a championship-worthy moves in terms of Jerry Jones. And saying the Chargers want to average 1.7 yards a carry. Good for you, Chargers. I think of that with, like, Mean Girls, right? I was watching Mean Girls over the weekend. Yes, I watch Mean Girls. Don't judge me. I'm a manly man, damn it. Me and my frozen coffee whenever I actually go out and get coffee. Me and my frozen coffee with whipped cream on top. Don't judge me. And I'm like, whenever you say, good for you, Chargers, I got the good for you, Glenn Coco. You go, Glenn Coco. That's who the Chargers are. They're the Glenn Coco of the NFL. Good for you. We're proud of you. You want to sign another running back? I'm happy for you. Get that 1.7 yards per carry and just enjoy your time being bounced out in the first round of the playoffs. If I'm Zeke, I'm on this team's practice squad, but I'm calling everybody. I'm calling the Lions like, hey, man, look, I know you need some help. David Montgomery's out for a little bit. Yeah, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's going to get tired. Maybe you just sign. I can run a couple of yards at a time, right? Like, I can do this. I'll be all right. Calling up the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I know you got Isaiah Pacheco. I know you got Kareem Hunt. But why don't you just get a third experienced running back? I can go in there and block. You've seen my work on the offensive line. I am calling everybody. I'm on the practice squad. That means I have zero. Like this team can get rid of me whenever they want. Anyone else can pick me up whenever they want. I am on the phone calling. I am tampering the hell out of this, trying to get a ring. As a matter of fact, I think Zeke Elliott should work out a deal with whatever team they're playing with. Like we can do like a ladder here, right? Like the Chargers are playing against the Texans. If the Texans beat the Chargers, Zeke Elliott's like, look, guys, I'm going to you guys next. And then whoever beats the Texans, I'm going to you guys next until he gets to the Super Bowl and ultimately wins himself a ring. And then he can have like one of those split jerseys, right? Like where it's the 2 and the 1 or the 1 and the 5 on whatever side. And he's just playing for both teams. He can be like the all-time running back for both teams. Like whenever you played football in the streets, right? Like I'm all-time quarterback. He's going to be all-time running back. We're just going to switch with both teams. If I'm Zeke Elliott, I'm trying to find a way with the NFL that I can work this out. This is your last season in the NFL. Like we can say that hands down. This is his last season in the NFL. What are they going to do? Suspend you? Shit. Do your thing, dude. Go out and get your ring. Find the way that you guarantee yourself a ring, Zeke Elliott. I'm with you on that, my guy, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you got that Super Bowl ring. You're going to be wearing that Super Bowl ring, and then we go for it. Tommy Carazzo saying, are you listening to this wisdom, Zeke? I think I'm going to share this one out. It was at, 40 minutes, we'll say? 40 minutes into the show, I'll share this one out. I'll tag Zeke Elliott in and be like, look, man, go get that ring, buddy. I'm with you on that. Adrian Peterson should have done the same thing. All these guys that retired without rings, running backs that retired without rings, putting your body on the line like that to not get a ring. LaDainian Tomlinson should have done the damn thing. Man, Zeke Elliott, I am changing the NFL here. This is your last season. You will never play in the NFL again. So you might as well just work the system as best you can. Hell, find a way to be on everybody's practice squad. Get whatever $10,000, split it up among 30 teams. I guess you don't even have to do that. Split it up against 16 teams, and now you can say you were in the playoffs for 16 different teams. I would be a nightmare as an agent. And there was a point in time where I was like, maybe I should go get my my license to be an agent. Maybe I'll do that anyway. Why not, right? Like, I'll start signing NIL deals over here at UTEP. And yes, we will have our championship taken away, but at least we'll know we won the championship. Augustine Pimentel saying the only reason is you want Johnson in Big D. I feel like Augustine's watching on delay, right? Like it feels like the stuff that he's saying is like from 10 minutes ago. So Augustine, refresh your refresh your watching habit here and join the conversation in real time, please. But Zeke Elliott going to the Chargers, is it a big thing? No, I don't think so. But what is a big thing is the news that came out of Green Bay yesterday as they're getting ready to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, the 7 versus the 2. And we've thought over the last couple of weeks that the Green Bay Packers, a healthy Green Bay Packers team, can cause some problems for the Philadelphia Eagles. But they need everybody there. And the news comes out that Christian Watson, done for the remainder of the season, tears his ACL. He's out. We saw Jordan Love do something where he lost feeling in his hand. They said he hit his elbow, but he winds up losing feeling in his hand. Maybe he hit his funny bone. Maybe there's something about that. Tommy Cananza saying Augustine loves talking about the big D, Mike. Leave him alone. All right, my bad. Augustine, talk about the D all you want. As a matter of fact, let me drop down to my the sexy voice. Augustine, if you want to talk about the D, I'm not going to stop you. Talk about it all you want, baby. It's all yours. I think I creeped myself out with that one. Jesus, man. But the Green Bay Packers now, right? Like, I said that I wouldn't be surprised if this team was going to make a deep playoff run. They're a solid team. They're a good team. They can go on the road and play with anybody. They can go into anybody's house, and none of us would be surprised if they win, right? Like if the Packers upset the Philadelphia Eagles this week, nobody would be surprised by that. Nobody would be like, oh my goodness, the Eagles, what happened? No. Like it just doesn't work that way. On the flip side, though, this is a major injury that the Packers are going to have to try to overcome this late into the season. I get it. They've got some young talent on the team. I believe that this is a team that can run the ball on anybody. Josh Jacobs being back there in the backfield again, I was wrong. I am contrite in my assessment, my early assessment of what I thought the Green Bay Packers were going to be. I thought they were going to miss Aaron Jones because you cannot replace a guy like Aaron Jones out of nowhere. And the Green Bay Packers proved to me, Mike, you're an effing idiot. And I genuflect to thee, I am an effing idiot. I will own it until the day that I die. Again, I am not a smart man, but I do know what love is. Life is like a box of chocolates. I'm Tippy Gump. Forrest Tip? No, Tippy Gump is better, right? Like Mike Gump doesn't sound well. Well, I'll workshop it. We're gonna get it going here. The Green Bay Packers, I think, can go into any stadium and beat anybody. I would not be surprised if they make a deep run. I would not be surprised if they wind up representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. last week. Losing a major part of your offense right whenever you're about to enter the playoffs, I don't know if I can see them making a deeper run now. Maybe they just beat the Eagles and go on their happy little way. But it's so hard for me to look at this team now and see how do you overcome. I get Jordan Love's a pretty damn good quarterback. We all had questions about Jordan Love. Jordan Love is answering all of them questions. What do you do and how do you overcome this injury as we enter the playoffs? And it comes down to the Packers, in my opinion, shouldn't have played anybody on Sunday. They should have rested. What everyone was raking the Kansas City Chiefs over the coals for of, oh, you're afraid of Joe Burrow. That's why you let the Broncos win, blah, 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 blah. No. This is why they didn't play the game. This is why they rested their players, because you need to avoid massive major injuries like this. And the more that I watch, Tommy Canazzo saying, I'm going to pull a Brandon this week. I've got an Aaron Jones jersey, like a Green Bay Packers Aaron Jones jersey. I don't think it works this week, though, right? Like, he's not on the team anymore. What do you do whenever, like, because I have a ton of jerseys of Cowboys players that are no longer on the team. I stopped buying jerseys because anytime I bought a jersey, that player would go. Maybe I should buy a Mike McCarthy jersey, a Mike McCarthy hat, and I can genuinely be Mike McGurthy. Selfishly, I want the Dallas Cowboys to keep Mike McCarthy so I can have a full year of being Mike McGurthy as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. So what are the Packers going to do? How do they overcome this type of injury this late into the season? Man, I'm just going through it. The whole time through. I no breaks, no commercials, no nothing. We're just doing it. Remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33. That's Tipton33. Save up to 15% on all of your car care needs at RevAutoCarCare.com. And, of course, our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Check out the amazing products that they have over at My Happy Nuts. It's a new year, new you, new look for yourself down there. Take care of yourself. You don't want to be walking around with swamp ass. You don't want to have the one side step out as you're walking down the streets. Take care of yourself with My Happy Nuts, especially the comfort cream. If you get nothing else, get the My Happy Nuts comfort cream. It will change your life. Trust me, I say this as a big old fat guy that starts a fire the way that my legs chafe as I'm walking down the damn street. www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton or use promo code Mike Tipton, all one word. Joshua Rio saying, to be fair, Christian Watkins isn't the most healthy player. He has a track record at North Dakota of being injured. I'll agree with that. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, I believe there's a good time and a bad time to get injured. If you're going to get injured, make it early in the season. That way you have the possibility of coming back. Or if you're out for the season, now your team knows how to work without you. The worst time to get injured is at the end of the season. Christian Watkins' injury, to me, could have been preventable because what happened in that game is that you lost. All you were fighting for was whether you're going to be the 7 or the 6. To me, it doesn't matter, right? You're either going to Philly or you're going to Tampa Bay. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're going on the road. You should have rested your team. You lost anyway. You should have rested your team and not had to worry about injuries. If you're going to get injured in the playoffs, I guess. Obviously, I'm making it seem as if it's something you have control over. It's not. But it just sucks that you had the possibility of making sure your team was the healthiest it could have been going into the playoffs. And one game changed everything. There are going to be questions. How is Jordan Love's elbow and his hand? Is it going to be okay? If he had to leave the game, that means there was something wrong there. And if he had to leave the game as your starting quarterback, you should have pulled everybody out of that game because it wasn't an important enough game to have everyone playing it. It just flatly wasn't. And you were hoping, your hope was that the Dallas Cowboys were going to win a game. The Dallas Cowboys were going to win it. Like that's a team that you can put hope in. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I hate that I love this team. You can see the damn thing behind me, right? Right over here. All the stupid little Dallas Cowboys stuff I've got. And even I knew, I'm not trusting this team to win. Tommy Canazza saying they got Reed, Dobbs, and Wicks. They'll be all right. They should be leaning on Jacobs anyway. I agree with that 100%. Their path to the Super Bowl, their path to maintaining and continuing on, survive in advance, baby, right, is off of Josh Jacobs. But you have to wonder about that Jordan Love injury. I like Watson. I think Watson is a fun player to watch. I know over the last couple of seasons he had some drop issues and things like that, but I still think he's a fun dude to watch. He takes the top off of the defense, and you really need that threat. I know Romeo Doubs can do the same thing, but I'm just like, again, you did it to your, you shot yourself in the foot on this. If they lose to the Eagles, there will be questions coming out of Green Bay to Matt LaFleur about whether or not he should have actually had his starters in that game. I don't think that it's a fireable offense, but I guarantee that it's going to be just an issue with them. Tommy Canazza saying, I don't want a path to the Super Bowl for Green Bay. I just want a path to a first-round upset. I'm with you on that one, my dude. Again, I want to drink the tears of the Eagles. I've already got everything planned out for where I'm going to be Stephen A. Tip of what's going to happen the second the Eagles lose in the playoffs. I obviously want them to lose in the most heartbreaking fashion possible, which would be overtime in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs once again. Just that death by 1,000 cuts as you're watching Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and them boys move the ball down the field and eat your soul piece by piece. Not going to go over it again. We already know that I've got some issues. I've got some sociopathic issues that I've got to get checked out by a professional with the way that I think about sports. I'm also super quiet whenever I watch sports. Like I've told people have been like, I want to watch sports, but like you're a sports guy, so I imagine like you look at it super analytically. I'm actually very quiet whenever I watch sports. I just kind of sit back, hang out. Joshua Rojas saying, don't forget about Tucker Craycraft or Tucker Craft, rather. Sorry. I was thinking about old Craycraft over in Miami. Don't forget about Tucker Craft and Luke Musgrove. They've got a team. Like they really do. I just feel like if you're going to beat Philadelphia, you have to have all of your weapons available. And they have to be the healthiest that they can be. Obviously, through a 17-game season, you're not going to be that healthy going into the playoffs. The Eagles aren't going to be that healthy going into the playoffs, but you're going to be as healthy as you possibly can be. There are no major injuries with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Yes, we can question whether or not Jalen Hurts had his brain scrambled against Dallas or not, but the fact of the matter is the Eagles are the team to me that has to lose in the playoffs. Like they just have to lose. I don't have to worry about hating the San Francisco 49ers anymore. I know that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are going to choke it out in the first round. They've lost 4 straight games. So, I mean, I'm good with the Steelers getting their ass handed to them as well. I just need, for my own peace of mind, for the peace of mind of my fellow Dallas Cowboys fans, and you know what, Green Bay, for you, to once again just shove it down the throat of Aaron Rodgers. I need you, Green Bay. I need you to beat the hell out of the Philadelphia Eagles. Hell, I don't even care if you beat the hell out of them. Beat them by 1 point. Make it as excruciating as possible. Either it's domination or you win by 1, but don't make it one of these boring, we won by a touchdown, but the game really wasn't in question type things. Destroy them. Destroy their heart. Eat their heart in front of their fan base in Philadelphia so we can watch those loser fans of Philadelphia just constantly cry because that's what they do. Oh, the referees, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. You're a loser-ass franchise. You've been one for 100 damn years. You got 1 Super Bowl to your name. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Good for you. Took you 52 damn years to do it. Hate them. Joshua Rojas saying both teams are definitely good. It's all on the offense, and that's what it is. Lean on Josh Jacobs. That man is unstoppable. I love this game because I feel like it's going to be old school football of you got Saquon Barkley and that great offensive line in Philadelphia, and you've got the Green Bay Packers, and with as good as Josh Jacobs has been, we're just going to see two teams running the ball down your throat. 3 yards and a pile of dirt. Like, that's what it's going to be for that entire game. And I love it. And I guarantee you I'm going to be wrong, and it's going to be a shootout. Tommy Cananza saying last year they were talking about how they were the first 2 seed to lose to a 7th. It would be poetic if they lost 2. It would be. Watching the Philadelphia Eagles lose, again, to the team that beat the Dallas Cowboys last year as a 7th seed, it would be poetry. Just chef's kiss for what I would want this, like how I would want this year to start. Obviously, this year was not great for the Dallas Cowboys, but man, Joshua Rojas saying, I'm nervous about Baltimore will screw around with Pittsburgh. Man, it depends on what version of Pittsburgh you get. I know normally following a bad game, George Pickens has a pretty good game. Pittsburgh has the ability to take the top off of a defense, and the Baltimore Ravens' weakness has been their secondary. It's gotten a lot better over the last couple of weeks, but can it sustain? Baltimore should win this game. They're a 10-point favorite, which I'm like, holy hell, how are they a 10-point favorite? Pittsburgh's a pretty decent team. So if I'm putting money on it, I'm putting money on Pittsburgh to cover, because 10 points in the playoffs, that seems like a pretty big margin of victory, especially for two teams that play each other hard all the time. So if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, maybe I'm a little nervous, but I know I have the better team. Tommy, yes, I said it. The Baltimore Ravens have a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show. Our friends over on Roku via National Streaming Sports, thank you so much for once again platforming us, allowing us to be on Roku so that we can talk all our nonsense nationally and internationally, I guess, with National Streaming Sports. Download Roku, download the National Streaming Sports app, and you can see all the stuff that they've got going on with National Streaming Sports. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, RevAutoCarCare.com and www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Take care of yourself, guys. It's a brand new year. It should be a brand new you as well. We will see you tomorrow.